Welcome back to the Todd Durkin Impact Show, the podcast dedicated to lighting you up with inspiration, motivating you to be better in all areas of your life, and igniting action inside of you so that you can ultimately create more impact in this world that so desperately needs you. On every Impact Show, we dive into mindset, health set, leadership, and something personal so that I can coach you to be the very best version of yourself. With that, it's time to dive into today's Impact Show episode. Welcome back to another episode of the Todd Durkin Impact Show. And are you about to get some fire today or what? I'm here in the brand new studios. If you're watching YouTube right now, take a look around. If you're just listening in, maybe we sound a little bit different today. Yeah, because it is 2025. Again, Happy New Year to you. I hope you're having a great new year. Your goals are on fire. You're executing that. And today I have a special treat for you. I've got a guy on today's show who I've known for a while now. His name is Jeff Fenster. Jeff Fenster. And I'm going to explain the relationship and why I'm having him early in this year so he could set your year on fire. My friends, number one, I got my workout in today and I could not wait to get up here to the studio. I'm at the headquarters of EVERBOWL and WeBuild. You're like, what's EVERBOWL? What's WeBuild? Don't worry, you're going to hear about that in today's show of what that is. But Jeff Fenster is actually from the same area where I currently live and have Fitness Quest 10 and TDE HQ. And he started a franchise called WeBuild and WeBuild and EVERBOWL. And Jeff is one of the best entrepreneurs I know. And when you hear his story today, you hear about entrepreneurism. This guy epitomizes an entrepreneur of starting companies, selling companies, starting companies, selling companies. And he's going to share that story along with his success formula of what it takes, regardless of what you do today, whatever walk you're in. If you're young and you're starting out, Jeff talks about the mindset of what it takes when you're young, or heck, when you're older and you want to scale your business, you want to grow your business, you want to grow your teams, all of these things. And when he talks about his success formula, he's got a 5-step success formula that you must listen to. And I promise you, this is going to be one of the greatest valued shows that you've listened to in 400 and something shows. Trust me on this one, you're in for a treat today. So without further ado, let's bring in Jeff Fenster right now here at the EVERBOWL and WeBuild HQ. Here we go right now. Hey guys, welcome back to the Todd Durkin Impact Show. This is Todd Durkin, and I am with the one and the only Jeff Fenster. You're like, wait a second, I know that name, Jeff Fenster. I know that name. Well, I am in Jeff's home right now. We are up at headquarters of EVERBOWL and WeBuild, and it is so great to be back here, Jeff. And should I say welcome back to the show? Or
you've been here.
I have been here.
We had you on my show.
I was on your show, the Jeff Fenster Show, and now you're on my show at WeBuild.
That's right.
And at EVERBOWL. So it is so great to be back here. Guys, Jeff is doing amazing things in the world right now on so many different levels, both entrepreneurially as well as just giving back and doing amazing things with all of his companies, philanthropically. And we're going to dive in deep today on many different levels, including entrepreneurism for all you business owners out there, people looking to do better in 2025. We're kicking off here early in 2025 with an amazing podcast. Jeff and I have been talking this for months. We got to do this. We got to make it happen. And finally, here I sit. And Jeff, we've known each other now for how long? It goes way back.
I mean, it really does. I think we had to have hung out a couple times back in Scripps Ranch.
Yes.
At the original, the OG Fitness Quest. But then we really got reconnected through Drew.
Through Drew.
Yeah.
So guys, earlier this year, I said, hey, Drew, I've got to really up my game in the podcast level. I'm looking to do a few things to it. He goes, meet my guy, Jeff Fenster. I'm like, Jeff Fenster, how do I know that name? He's like, oh, he founded EVERBOWL. So Drew connects me with Jeff. I come up to the headquarters here just about 25 minutes north of Fitness Quest 10 and TDE. I walk in. I'm like, Jeff, nice to meet you. Jeff's like, Todd, I grew up in Scripps Ranch. I went to Scripps Ranch High School. I've been following your trail since what, early 2000s.
Yeah, it must have been two. I mean, you took away my 7-Eleven.
I did.
But you improved it. We went from Slurpees to burpees.
There you go. We went Slurpees to burpees. That was the first thing Jeff said. I took away a 7-Eleven. Yes, I did. And he's a great man, and he's from Scripps Ranch as well. So we've got two folks here from Scripps Ranch.
Go Falcons.
Go Falcons. And if you follow Jeff, or when you follow Jeff, you're going to see all the great things that he's doing. And as we go in today, I've got a couple rapid fire questions. These are rapid fire. Get to know Jeff Fenster, because I want you to follow Jeff. I want you to hear and listen. You may want to rewind this a few times because it is going to be deep. Number one, what's a mantra you live by?
Do it now. Good.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
What you don't change, you choose.
Ooh. Dude, this is deep. If you could have a 1-hour meeting with anyone in the world, living or even dead, who would that person be?
Family-wise, my grandfather. Non-family, Steve Jobs.
Why Jobs?
Because his approach to life and business, and how he was kicked out of a company and came back, and his ability to make decisions that at the time everybody criticized that ended up being brilliant. I want to get into how he came to that conclusion, what he thought about, how he analyzed the situation in the face of so much adversity and criticism, and it all worked out in the end. So he was brilliant.
Yes, no doubt about
and his
it.
ability to create teams and go to his competitors for investments. I mean, if you actually learn the story of how he was kicked out of Apple, then he came back as the White Knight, and they were about to go bankrupt, and he cut all the products, and he fired most of the staff, and he focused on just 4 core things. And he went to his biggest competitor, Bill Gates, and got him to invest in his competitor's company to save it. Brilliant.
Brilliant.
From an entrepreneur-wise, it's brilliant.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Today's Todd Durkin Impact Show podcast is brought to you by Impact X Performance. Are you ready to change more lives? Do you want to be part of a dynamic team dedicated to changing the world? And are you ready to step into the next chapter of your life where you can impact even more people? If so, today is the day. That's right, my friends. Impact X Performance is dedicated to be a cutting-edge facility where we can bring you fitness, recovery, faith, and life coaching all under one roof. If you're looking to create even more impact in your community, today is the day. Visit ImpactXFranchise.com. That's ImpactXFranchise.com, and take a look at all of the opportunities that exist for you to create even more impact. That's ImpactXFranchise.com. I'll see you there. Best part of being a girl dad to 2 beautiful daughters.
I mean, the best part, the feeling I get when I look in their faces and their eyes, it's I'm putty. I melt. I'm a business guy. Some would say a little cold and shrewd in that sense, and then I turn to mush. So it actually is the only thing that can knock down all my walls, and I literally just get to just be an emotional mess.
Amen to that. EVERBOWL. It is now a rapidly growing franchise in America. What is EVERBOWL?
EVERBOWL is a quick service restaurant chain of craft superfood. Better for you bowls. So we basically think of it like smoothies and acai bowls, the Chipotle version if you've never been.
Yep. When I would say EVERBOWL, they go, oh, that's the acai bowl place, right? Absolutely is, and it is good. Trust me, my kids love it. We got to get some on the East Coast. I got 3 kids in North Carolina. There's no EVERBOWLs in North Carolina, at least where they're at.
We're coming to North Carolina. We have some. We are up and down the East Coast. We're growing pretty aggressively on the East Coast.
Good.
Looking at, a dip. I mean, we're in North Carolina.
We have Davidson, North Carolina.
Okay.
We have High Point, North Carolina, and we have High Point, North Carolina. 2 of my 3 kids will be in High Point.
Well, why don't we just bring one to High Point?
I like
why don't
the
we
idea.
skip all the mess?
I like that.
Let's go.
Deal done. Deal's getting done on the Impact Show today.
High Point.
High Point. Let's go. How many are there now? How many EVERBOWLs?
So we'll be, based on when this airs, we'll be just about 100 open and another couple hundred under development. So we'll be at about 350 locations.
Wow. And if you were gonna go to EVERBOWL today, what's your like go-to? Like, what's your favorite? I know I'm putting you in a bad spot because they're all good. I'll say they're all good, but you have to have just one. You're starving. Like, what's the one?
My not want to think about it, not want to change. I just go in and I get acai, I get blueberries, I get grapes, assuming they have them, goji berries, cacao nibs, and I'm ready to roll.
Peanut butter in there?
Nope, and no granola.
Really?
Yeah, I use the cacao nibs for the crunch.
No peanut butter.
I do eat peanut butter, and I change it up. But if I'm in a pinch and you're like, hey, and I just give me the usual, which we'll say is about 50% of the time, is that bowl.
I want to talk working out before we get into into all the business stuff. I know you're a workout freak. You love to work out.
Yes.
Top 2 favorite exercises.
Favorite exercises? Definitely pull-ups. Probably pull-ups and push-ups.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, my attitude is I don't care what you do from a physique side. If you can't pull yourself up in a crunch and push yourself up off the ground, then you're not really in shape.
I want to talk about that later on because I know how important your personal routine is and getting your workouts in on that. And I'm gonna get to that in a little bit, but I just wanted to get those 2 exercises. Could you share with all of our awesome listeners today a little bit about your backstory?
Sure.
I mean, you hear, EVERBOWL now, you hear about WeBuild, and in a nutshell, WeBuild is what?
So WeBuild is a manufacturing company that takes brands to scale. So if you're building any physical location, like an EVERBOWL or like an Impact,
There you go.
and you need to scale it around the country, we become your partner, your construction partner. So we help you design it, we help you build it, we help you scale it, and we do it in a way that allows you to save a ton of money. Normally in construction, you get speed, you get quality, and you get price, and they all say pick 2.
Yep.
Right? You can't have all 3. We give you all 3.
Yep.
So we're going to give you the efficiency and ability to scale. We're going to give you the price, and we're going to give you the quality. And because we do everything in-house, we become your construction department. We become that R&D department, and we allow and help brands grow in a way that they didn't realize they could. And that's why we're
Hey, I know this
up.
firsthand, guys, because our 7th location at Impact X Performance was designed, created by WeBuild, and thank God for WeBuild because if you've seen any pictures or videos of our Huntington Beach location, WeBuild did all of that. And I give a huge shout out to Eric and Jeff and the team because
Eric, not Jeff.
Well, Eric and Jeff, the vision, I know the story of making that all happen. It's all about execution. And I remember talking to Eric about this, is the quicker we can get open and start to serve our communities with our faith, fitness, recovery, life coaching, and everything we're doing, then the more we can create the impact that we want to create. So that's one of the things that WeBuild does. So, I mean, between EVERBOWL and WeBuild and all the things you're doing, there's some amazing ways they're helping businesses like IXP really scale at a faster rate. So we're proud to have WeBuild as part of our arsenal that we can help people grow their businesses quicker and even more profitable down the line as well. But before all that,
Sure.
how did you get to where you're at now? Like your backstory, because I know after college you went to law school.
Yep.
If you can just in a as short of a version as possible, share how the heck you got to where you're at today.
Well, I think I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never even knew the word.
Really?
Business ownership was not even something I had considered until I was actually doing it. I wanted to be a professional athlete. Didn't work out. So I graduated college early because I was tired of college.
Where'd you go to college?
University of Arizona. Harvard of the West. And and I was actually almost going to drop out of college because I had partied a little bit in high school and college, and they got that out of my system, and I was 19 years old, and I was like, I want to make some money. I was hungry to go work, and so I was like, okay, let me drop out of. I'm not seeing the value of sitting in, some GE course in college that isn't going to do anything for me, and I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I was really good in sales, and I made more money over the summer, and I was like, I could just go make a lot of money, and back then, 10 grand was a lot of money, especially to a 18, 19-year-old kid. And so I went to my dad, who's a doctor, and I said, hey, I think I'm going to drop out of college. And he's like, implored me. He's like, Jeff, don't drop out. Like, there's plenty of time to make money. Just finish the thing. And I was like, okay. So I started to research. I'm like, if I take this summer classes and I do this, back then they were mail-in, not online, mail-in classes, I could graduate a year early and I can get done sooner. So I did all that. So I was taking a ton of credits while I was in school, and I finished undergrad in 3 years. And then I was like, uh-oh, now what? Because now I'm older, but I still don't know what the hell I'm going to do. And so on a whim, I basically had an impromptu meeting with a mentor of mine who was working as the president of Lee Steinberg Sports Agency. And he said,
Who is that?
Dave Meltzer. And he basically said, go to law school, you can be a sports agent and still be connected to sports. So I applied to law school, but I applied the last possible window you can for that next year. And most likely wasn't going to get in because I didn't prepare for the LSAT. My LSAT sucked. And I was young, and law school predominantly wants more mature people based on their way they do it. So I was 21, not even 22 like most graduates. I had a terrible LSAT score. And so I had to have a backup plan. And so I went to the Marine Corps and enlisted in the Marines and had a enlistment date of July 12th to go to Pendleton and become a special police with the United States Marine Corps. Yeah. And this was post 9/11, so there's a lot of patriotism going on. And I figured, okay, they're giving you money, they're going to train me some skills, and I could then use that and parlay that because you get to come in as an officer with a college degree. So I was going to go to OCS, Officer Candidate School, and do all that, and trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do with my life. Because the idea of doing something for 40 years, like my dad is a doctor, my mom is a teacher, sounded horrible. It was like death to me. I get bored, and it's just not my life or what I could envision. And so I told the Marines, if I get into law school, I'm going. And I applied to 8 law schools. 2 of them accepted me. One was called Barry Law School in Orlando, and one was St. Thomas Law School in Miami. And I got in, and so I ended up telling the Marines I'm going to go to law school. And when I went to this very bottom tier law school, no disrespect to it, but I'm saying in the tiers with the bottom.
Yes. Yep.
The way it works is they accept, for every 100 people they accept, they're kicking 40 out at the end of the first year. So you're competing against your peers. That's the way those lower end law schools work. So it's on a curve, which means if you do a multiple choice test, so there's no subjectivity, and there's 10 answers, 10 questions, and 50% of the class get 9 out of 10, and I get 8 out of 10, I get an F.
Yep.
I don't get a B, I get an F.
Wow.
So you're competing with your peers, and you're competing against the information, and they're trying to kick you out.
Okay.
But I didn't want to be in St. Thomas Law School in Miami, so I said, okay, how do I transfer this? They said, you got to be in the top 10% of your class. I'm like, okay. So I show up to Miami to move as a 21-year-old kid. Don't know a soul.
21 in Miami.
21 in Miami. Don't know a soul. Never had plans to even be in law school. I'm going to be a sports agent against very mature 24, 28, 30-year-olds who are mature, responsible, here for a mission, and aren't 21 in South Beach.
I can see where it's going.
The fun part was I didn't know anybody. And so I said, okay, this is the time I'm going to actually do that thing I always tried to do in sports, which is I'm just going to give my absolute best. For 1 year, Jeff, I challenged myself and said, just do your damn best. Let's see what you got. And it was a great environment because I was competing against everybody, and I like competition. Normally, you're competing against yourself in school. And when I was younger, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to make myself my opponent mentally. Now I do, but then I didn't. Now I'm competing against you. I like that. That's sports. Now we found what I really love about sports competition. And so I did, and I finished top 10% of my class, transferred to San Diego, finished law school here in San Diego, and was going to be a sports agent. In my 3rd year of law school, met my wife and became a dad, and realized back then we also didn't have Zoom and internet and FaceTime and all these fun things. And so the career choice was travel around the country, be on the beck and call of athletes, which some of them are prima donnas because they just are, right? And you get to be their person. And so it was no time at home, no time with the family. Hey, you need me to go here to go do this meeting? Sorry, my daughter, on your birthday, I won't be there.
That's right.
And they become secondary and third. And I was like, I don't want this life. So finished law school and decided to quit that whole profession and got a job selling payroll for ADP just to start to pay the bills because I had to do something. Well, I figured out what I was going to do next.
No way. How long did you do that for, ADP?
6 months.
6 months.
I started in September, and I quit basically in February, January.
But real quick, the Marine Corps, how'd that fit in?
I didn't go because when I signed my papers, I made a deal with them saying if I go to law school, we're tearing this up.
I see. Gotcha.
And so I graduated law school. I went to law school. So I had my enlistment date. I had all the papers, docs. I went up and they did, the ASVAB and the whole physical thing, and you get to choose which jobs you're doing. And July 12th was my deployment date.
Wow.
And that was
got into law school, and that was.
And listen, I don't know what would have happened had I gone to the Marines. It wasn't like I wanted to go to the Marines. Like it was, I don't know what I'm going to do. It was that indecisive moment in time, and I know a lot of people probably feel that where it's like, what am I going to do?
Yep.
And it was kind of like I was just navigating the world, and I was always good in sales, as I said. So I went to ADP and started selling payroll. They gave me $38,000 base pay, which was nothing. I had 6 figures in law school loans. I had a kid and a fiance, and I'm like, I can't pay the bills with this. But they're like, hey, here's a great commission structure. Go sell. Sell, baby. And now it's, again, competition. I can go do this. I can go hunt. Let's go hunt.
That's right.
And so I became the #1 sales rep in the country. My first 6 months was sales rep of the month. Every single month I was there. I set records, made 6 figures, made $200 and something thousand in 6 months, bought a house in Mira Mesa.
Why do you think you were the #1?
Because I know how to do something. I'm innately good in sales. And the reason I am is because in law school really helps. So what you learn in law school predominantly is how to be analytical about the facts. So often I want to sell you this cup. Okay, how can I get him to buy this cup?
Yep.
What you learn in law school is, how do I be you? And I'm going to say why I'm not going to buy that cup. Because in law school, they'll give you a set of facts, and they won't let you pick what side you argue. You have to argue both sides. So if I can put myself in my buyer's shoes,
Amen.
and I know why you don't want to buy this cup, price, I don't need a cup, I don't like the color,
I like that.
I don't like you, I'm not ready. Now I can think about it from your eyes, which allows me to answer those and provide solutions to the questions I know you already have.
So good.
Solution-based selling. So that has been, that adds millions to your ability in your revenue generation if you can do that. It also helps in arguments, in personal relationships with my wife and my kids, because it frustrates the hell out of them. But my goal in sales is to answer the objection you're going to give before you give it.
That's so good.
I'm sure you're thinking this cup is too expensive. And look, you don't even have a drink right now. Like, why do you need a cup right now? And you haven't even said that yet.
I don't.
But I know those are probably going to be the things you're going to ask me. So I'm prepared to answer them before I go in.
That's right.
And so that allowed me, #2, I have great relationship capital. And so while everyone else was waiting for the deer or whatever they were hunting in that analogy or metaphor, I corral them into and bring them to me.
Yep.
So I attract, I don't chase. And I'm able to do that by realizing, like, okay, who are the gatekeepers of my potential customer base? I'm selling payroll. Well, bankers, right? Everyone who has a business and payroll needs a bank.
That's right.
Insurance, accountants, bookkeepers. So I went and made relationships in my territory with those individuals and said, listen, if I bring you all my new clients that need a bank, because I meet new business owners all the time, you give me the people who come in with that are opening business bank accounts.
Yep.
Who does your payroll? Oh, I don't know. Give them to Jeff. And so I led with value and I gave business to my contemporaries in the space, and we looked at it as a team.
You've always done that, yeah.
Yes, and so that allowed the floodgates to open. So my first month I had to do a lot more hunting. My second month I was getting inbound referrals. My third month I was getting inbound referrals. And then most importantly, because I had these ancillary partners, banking, insurance, etc., I meet you and I'm like, hey, who does the payroll for Impact? Oh, we already have that solved. Well, who do you bank with?
That's right.
Now I could sell them, which you'd say, well, why are you wasting time selling their services? Because they're giving me business. So if every month I bring my banker business, every month I bring that insurance broker business, every month I bring that bookkeeper business,
Brilliant.
You know what they're going to do? They're going to bring me business. So now I have a team of 4 working for me. And everybody I meet is not a wasted meeting. I couldn't sell them payroll. Sorry, waste? No, I sold them something else.
Yeah.
So
So
that
you're
really helped.
within 6 months, you're the #1 sales rep at ADP
In the country, yes.
in the country, making
First
200,000
Dominican President's
plus.
Club. I signed the flag. We were supposed to go to Monaco. I won a trip to Monaco.
So then what happened?
So when I negotiated my contract at $38,000, I said, that's too low. And they said, if you hit these milestones, you get a $17,000 base pay increase to 55 or 54. It's okay. Gave me the milestones. Well, I hit it in January from September. So I went to my boss in January. I said, Ashley, time for a raise. She said, Jeff, it's an annual goal. The fiscal year starts in July. It ends in June. It's going to be on your contract in July. I'm like, I'm not waiting till July. You said sell this, I get this.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, but Jeff, most people finish that, May, June. It's an annual thing. I'm like, well, you need to go talk to somebody because I want my pay increase.
Yeah.
So she did, and they came back and said, sorry, Jeff, like we do this on an annual basis. Their fiscal years, your base is for that whole year.
Okay.
So I'm like, that doesn't work for me. I'm the #1 sales rep, and I'm hunting, and I need to get paid. They're like, well, go sell more. I'm like, well, so you're telling me I hit my contract because I was only supposed to sell $110,000 in total business? And I think I did 400 and something in that first 4 months or something. So I blew out my contract. 38,000, I have to sell 110. It's a contract. Now, mind you, I also had just finished law school, so I'm playing lawyer, contract law. And I'm looking at this paper, and I'm like, okay, so my contract said over the course of a year, I have to sell this amount, and I'm going to get paid this.
Yep.
I did it 4x. So I'm like, okay. So then I said, okay, well, then I'll go get a different job and come back in July. You'll still owe me the $38K a month, or my salary.
Yeah.
I don't have to sell anything. So I could go get a second job now.
Oh, no.
In my head.
Yeah.
So I'm telling her, like, I'm making these, like, do you want me to, they're like, well, you can't do that. I'm like, well, hold on. I don't have a quota anymore.
Right.
I have nothing that says I have to sell for you. And it's true. So then they got really flustered. And I got called in and we had these conversations like, well, Jeff, technically, I'm like, well, no, not technically. Either you give me an increase in pay and I'll go take a new quota for the second half of the year.
Yep. Yeah.
They're like, we can't do that. I'm like, well, then I'm going to quit. Because first they were like, well, we're going to write you up. Like, if you write me up, I'm quitting. In fact, if you don't give me my increase, I'm quitting. And I didn't think they were going to let me quit. Because it's the number one, like, what company would let their number one sales rep walk for something I already earned that you're going to give me anyway?
Yeah, the quota, yeah.
And I'm willing to go sell for you more. So I'm going to make you a lot of money. Well, it's ADP. I mean, they're a major company with international business. You know,
Yep.
They don't know who the hell I am in their corporate office in New Jersey. So she came back to me finally. She went to her supervisor, Susan, and it went upstream. And they came back and said, sorry, Jeff, like, there's really nothing we can do. So I went home that night and I just felt, I saw this vision of my life. Like, I'm just going to sit here and wait till some June 30th date so I can get the next thing. Like, how is that? That is the most demoralizing thing for someone who wants to earn it on their own.
Sales guy who wants
a hunter.
to,
I'm a hunter. I don't want to come back in 4 months, but go screw around in the prairie. Like, it just wasn't for me. So I'd been in my Mira Mesa house with my fiance at the time a few months, and I said, hey, honey, I want to quit my job. I want to sell the house. And I want to take you and Olivia, our daughter, and move into my parents' house. I want to start my own payroll company because fuck ADP. That was exactly how I had the conversation with her. And she said, honey, if that's what you want to do, great. And then I went to my dad and I said, hey, Dad, can we move in? And he had
the family move in.
Well, but this is to me the most important distinction. And you can say I'm wrong. Some people will think I'm wrong. Some people will agree. But he said he got really pissed because he's like, Jeff, you almost dropped out of college. You then took on $140,000 and went to law school, and you don't use it. You're selling payroll that you didn't even need the law degree for. So you're not a lawyer. You went to be a sports agent, had the opportunity, and are not doing that now. Now you have a job that I told you not to take because it's beneath your qualifications, and you're killing it. You just bought a house, and now you're going to quit that. Like, as a dad, he was very upset. Like, he's like, you're just quitting everything. But I'm like, I'm not quitting everything. I'm accomplishing it and then not continuing everything.
Yep.
And he goes, but here's the difference, Jeff. You're a dad now. You don't have the privilege to go chase these wild Jeff dreams and goals. You have to support a family. So you need to buckle down and keep that job until you have another thing that is going to make sure you can pay and you have a home. What are you doing? And he's right in outlaying the facts. I looked at the perspectively different and I said, Dad, because I have a kid now, I have an obligation to chase my dreams and be the best version of me and find what I want. Because my kid is going to look at me. So if I show my kid that I quit my dreams and I settled in life because I had a family, what does that mean my child's going to do when they grow up? Because kids emulate their parents. I'm a role model. He looked at it as I have an obligation to support, which means you don't get to put yourself and your dreams and your goals and your aspirations as number one. But that's what you're teaching your children then. And I wasn't going to do that. So he said to me, Jeff, yes, of course, you can always move into the house. But I will not support you financially. I will not do anything to help. And I think you're making a major mistake.
Look down at the timestamp right now and rewind that bad boy. Because what you just heard is the consummate entrepreneur of the outside world, or even sometimes the inside world, telling you to settle because things you're doing good. You're doing good. Don't mess it up.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's
so good.
Why settle? Like, I hear this all the time. Like, oh, I really want to start this business, but I don't have the resources, and I have this mortgage, and I have this. It's like, great. You're talking about lifestyle.
Yep.
If you don't want it more than you want those things, then don't do it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I didn't even know what that was. But I'd never heard the word back then. It was business owner.
Right.
And the business owners usually were either born into it,
Yeah.
or they worked in a craft for a long time and then started their own.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we didn't have this school of entrepreneurship. Like, those things didn't exist back then. We had no YouTube, and we didn't glorify the trade and the craft. And with no social media, I had no one to look at and watch and observe the Elon Musks. And, like, we didn't have those things.
Good point.
I mean, we had MySpace. You know what I mean? Like, that was at that time, like, those were the things that were there. Like, we were just Napster. Like, we were stealing music. I mean, it was a different time.
That's right.
So I had no peers that were being entrepreneurs, and I had business owner friends, you know?
Yeah.
And so my dad was like, what do you know about running and owning a business? I'm like, nothing, but I know I can sell the shit out of this payroll thing.
Yep.
And I made relationships with all these clients. So at a minimum, how hard can it be? Right? And I'm thinking it's just you write a number on a check and hand it to them. I had no idea what I was doing.
Thanks for sharing that with your dad. I'm actually really glad my son Brady is here in studio with us right now, because it's that constant as a father now, you as a father, how do you empower your kids to follow their dreams and aspirations, especially when you hit certain landmarks that you're like, okay, I'm doing good, but there's always that next level.
That's right.
And your father, who was doing well as a physician, right? Hey, you're doing good, kid. You got a family. You got, you're doing well. And then your wife says, Jeff, go for it. I believe in you.
Yeah.
Like she could have been like, no, honey, we can't. Like the security is a real thing on that. Between that time, all the way, fast forward, how many different businesses have you had, and what were the next steps?
So I started my own payroll company out of my mom's kitchen called iChecks. We ended up raising capital, turned it into Canopy HR, built an HRIS platform as the internet was really becoming. So we digitized human resource and how do you apply for a job, your employee self-service portal, how you look at your hours, how companies pay when they write you up, like all the things that happen in that HR, we digitized. We sold that at the end of 2011. Had a recruiting agency.
It started when?
End of 2008.
So in 3 years, you built this.
Yes. In the middle of the Great Recession, yeah. It was a weird time. So I also started my company right when the world imploded, which was fun. Created an opportunity. Started a recruiting agency at the end of 2009, because my clients needed help recruiting during that period. So I started a recruiting company, sold that in 2012.
Still living at your parents' house?
No. My fiance did say when we got married, she wanted us to be out of the house. That was her only criteria.
Yeah.
So we moved into my parents' house in 2008. We got married in August of 2009.
Yep.
We got married on August 16th. The house that we bought, I bought and we closed August 14th. We moved in when we got back from our honeymoon.
Okay.
So we did not spend one night in my parents' house as a married couple, which was my promise to her, that I will move heaven and earth, or I will go get a job if I can't make it happen.
Yep.
But I won't. She didn't want to get married or be married in her in-laws' home.
So you're buying and selling companies.
Starting. I've never bought.
Okay.
I started
them.
Yep. I solve problems. It simply, like everyone here is like, oh, I saw a problem. I started a company that I knew
from
I could
nothing.
Execute. Yeah, but it's not yes.
But you're zero. Yeah.
Yeah, from nothing. But I can figure those parts out. Right? Like experience in the craft is overrated.
Yeah.
I always say it's the most overrated prerequisite to starting a company or being successful. Everyone's like, oh, I don't know anything about that. Okay, but somebody does. And I can recruit and hire. And you know what? People work for money. It's amazing. So if I needed to start something, how to make these cups, I don't need to know how to do it, but I can find someone who does, and they want to get paid.
That's right.
So if I pay them, they'll make the cup.
Yep.
Now I put my name on the cup, it's my cup.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Yeah.
And that's the different skills that we all have. Like my gift is not making the cup. My gift is making the company and starting the company. And most importantly, though, because when I tell that story, some of my younger listeners and people who I've told it to have asked some of the questions. They're like, well, should I just go jump around? I'm like, well, hold on. The key thing I do want to preface is I finished college. I went to law school and finished law school. I executed and finished top 10%. I made a bunch of money in my craft. So you still have to execute. You still have to be remarkable in whatever it is you're currently doing.
That's right.
I win.
That's right.
I'm here to win.
Yep.
Doesn't mean I'm going to do it forever. Right? I may leave at the top, perceived top, right? And you're like, why don't you keep doing that? Well, okay, I want a new hill. I like the journey more than I like the destination. Some people like the destination.
Preach.
Winning doesn't fill me up at the end. The pursuit of winning lights me up. And it's kind of sad because when you win, I don't spend enough time, according to my friends, family, and people who win with me, enjoying the win, where they want to like blast champagne. I'm the guy where we'll win the championship, we'll blast champagne, and the next morning it's like, okay, let's get back to work. They want to spend 2 weeks in the Caribbean and they want to enjoy the fruit of the tree. And maybe I wish I could enjoy it more, because I think that would connect me with them in that experience a little better.
Yep.
But I don't.
Yeah, but you talk about any top athlete, especially the athletes I know and that you've heard of, after Super Bowl wins, after MVPs, sometimes it's the most depressing time right after it, because you work for a year or 6 getting to that point to win a Super Bowl, an MVP, a World Series, and then what? And it's like you've worked toward it, you've enjoyed that process, and then there's almost like a very lonely feeling, a very empty feeling, like, what next? Like
you have no purpose for me.
No, the purpose is exactly right.
What drove me yesterday, that goal, that target is gone. So now I have to find a new one. And that's scary because finding what you're going after, to me, is scary. Once I've made the decision I'm going after it, the rest isn't scary anymore. I know where I'm going.
I love that you have never felt locked in. Like you started a company and you didn't feel like I got to do this for the next 10 years or 20 years. You've navigated and weaved and, I'm going to move. It's not like, well, I've got to do this for the next 25 years.
Why?
Right.
Why?
I love that mindset of sometimes I think people have to figure it out when you're 22 years old. I got to figure it all out. And it's like, no, take the next step. And for you, 3 years later, you're selling a company after starting it. And then fast forward. Yeah. So what were the next steps?
So started a digital marketing agency in 2012. 2012, I started about 6 other companies. A couple of them were
6 other.
Yeah, but a lot of them were simple and like silly, like a few website SaaS-based stuff. I started a company that legalized equity-based crowdfunding. It was great. It got legalized. My platform failed. Helped companies raise capital. Like I started a bunch of little things. I did a consulting company where I was helping other businesses in that HR world that were trying to learn what technologies. A lot of them were failures. And they were failures because I went away from my success formula. I went away from the principles that allowed me to win. And I thought I had this Midas touch. Like, if I do it, it's going to win. And I went away from what allowed me to win. I got ahead of my skis. My ego got back in the way. I thought I was bigger than the habits I used to win before.
Yep.
Right? I showed up because it's me. And I stopped putting in the reps, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And so I had a year of, we'll say, learning.
Yeah. With a nice smile on your face. If you're listening, watching YouTube, you see it. If you're just listening in, he's got a good smirk on his face right here.
But it was good.
Yep.
I learned more from losses than wins. Mm-hmm. Because I analyze why I lose. I don't really analyze why I win. I expect to win.
Yep, that's right.
So the result that I get is an expectation, so I don't spend much time thinking about it. When I don't win, I go, what the hell did I do wrong? So when I was doing that, I realized, oh my God, Jeff, you stopped doing the things that you did along the way to compete and win. And so I went back to that. So I started a digital marketing agency. I partnered with a guy named Neil Patel. Me and him built a really cool, fun company, worked with some of the biggest websites on the planet, made a ton of money, and then in 2015 sold that. And tried the retirement thing for a little while. Had more money than I needed at a young age of 32 and 2 daughters. And so I was like, I'll spend some time just being around, like tone it back. 6 months in, my wife basically said, get the hell out of here. You're driving us crazy. You're too high strung for this. And I'm like, hey, what are we doing today, honey? And she's like, I'm going to the grocery store in the gym. Then I'm picking up our daughter and I'm taking her here. What are you doing today? I'm like,
nothing.
I don't know. And my friends were working. So my peers were working, so I had no one to do stuff with. I had no purpose and target outside of working out. And I'm like, this sucks. Yeah. So as a passion project, I started a little acai bowl concept called EVERBOWL.
And that was 2015, 16?
I started I signed the lease July of 16, opened in October of 16.
Just a one-stop shop, like one place.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, it was funny enough. I was actually visiting an old digital marketing client in Poway, California.
Yeah.
And I was getting a smoothie at Smoothie King. And as I walk in this week in July, it's right where the EVERBOWL was, right on Community and Poway Road.
Yep.
The owner's legit.
That's the first one.
Was it?
Is that the first one?
Oh, first EVERBOWL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you meant Smoothie King. Yeah,
no.
That was the EVERBOWL one. He's literally taking stuff out of the store to his van, like it's half fixturized. And I said, are you closed? And he's like, no, we're closing on Friday. This was a Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday. And I'm like, you're closing for good? And he's like, yeah, I'm retiring. Been here 20 years. I'm like, well, what's coming next? He goes, I don't know. I'm like, you didn't sell the business? He's like, I tried, but I asked too much, and nobody wanted to buy into this thing, and so I'm just closing. I'm like, can I have the landlord's name and number?
No way.
Gave me the landlord's name and number. I called her Monday of the next week. I signed a lease. I had no name, no menu, no idea what EVERBOWL was going to be, but I was looking for a place to have a smoothie acai bowl shop. So it was like fate.
This is awesome.
Yeah. So I signed the lease. Funny enough, if you look at the original lease, I had to come up with a name for because they said what she wanted to know what the name was. So I was like, Thrive Bowls. It was not called Thrive Bowls, yeah. And I didn't have a menu, a design,
what was the first name?
Well, in my head in the moment, Thrive Bowls.
Thrive Bowls.
I had to come up with something that moment.
Right.
I'm not that creative.
Right.
I'm like, Thrive Bowls.
Thrive Bowls.
Yeah, help you thrive. Acai bowls. Like, okay, Thrive Bowls. I knew I could change it, but that was what I put on the original lease.
Oh my goodness, wow.
And then I was like, okay, now I got to figure out how to build and open a restaurant. I don't know anything about that. I had to make a menu. I got to learn this whole craft. I got to figure out where I'm going to get all the product. Because I was importing acai into my house for years. I'm a hypochondriac. I've always eaten healthy. I believe in prevention is easier than cures.
That's right.
For illness and all that. And so I knew how to buy it as a customer, but now I need to buy it as a restaurant commercially. And so here's the question. Like, well, Jeff, you started his companies, but how? Like, you don't know anything. So I went on the internet and I said, okay, what smoothie bowl, acai bowl shops are for sale? And there was one guy selling a concept. It was a juice shop, but he had acai bowls and it was for sale. So I went over to him and I said, how much are you selling for? And he, way more in a different area, way more than I was going to buy. Yep. And I don't remember the guy's name now. It was too long ago. And I said, okay, but if it was you, I'd be like, okay, Todd, how come, can I pay you to consult with me and just give me a roadmap to how do you open the thing? I'm not going to buy your business. Yep. You're going to sell it to someone else. I'm not in your area. I'm not competing with you. But I don't know the first thing here. Can I just pay you as a consultant? And he said, yeah. So I paid him $20,000 and he taught me about health plans and what I need to do on all the little steps. And he gave me a roadmap, which I didn't have at the time. And he stayed with me for 30 days for that money and walked me through the process. And so, like I said, you can pay for knowledge. I didn't have the experience. I bought it, right? And so now, 30 days later, I knew how to open a restaurant. Well, what steps? I didn't know how to do it, what steps? And he ended up helping me way more than I thought. He then came and helped me with my menu ideation and portion controls, and he gave me a lot of intel that I never knew. And I paid for it. But that's why I find it funny that we get to a point in life, and you see this across most adults today, where they're reluctant to hire coaches and consultants.
I was going to say that.
They're reluctant to have teachers, mentors, and advisors. And it's like, why? LeBron James has a basketball coach. You think he's learning how to dribble a basketball?
Yep.
No. He's got somebody who's coaching him.
That's right.
A coach's job is to uplift and take and get the most out of their player or their individual. So he became my consultant coach on how to open a restaurant because he had done it.
Yeah.
So he could tell me, you're about to hit a wall that you don't see when you make that left. And some people go, well, $20,000's a lot. Well, it worked.
Well, as you say, $20,000 in 1 month, you invested that because you were willing to invest in that to learn. Most people aren't willing to invest in that.
Because they look at it wrong. They look at how much does it cost. I look at, what am I buying? And for $20,000, if I could give you 6 months of time, would you take it?
All day.
It's cheap. So I compress time for $20,000. So if you're going to be in business and you can hire a coach or a consultant or attend a conference or a workshop or do whatever you're doing, what are you outlaying in capital and what is your hope to get out of it? If you can compress time, if you can learn information that will allow you to be more effective and make more money, it's cheap.
Do you do that now? Are you now a mentor, coach to other entrepreneurs? I mean, I know.
Sure. I'm not a coach per se, but I do some selective consulting. Selectively. I get hit up a lot for that stuff. We're exploring potentially doing like one-day workshops next year.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I get hit up a lot for franchising and business and scale. And it's hard because to do the job the way that I would want to do it on how I put my name on something, I need you to win.
Yeah.
Right? So why I do selective consulting, and it's no offense to the people that I have said no to, but if I don't believe that I can add enough value for us to win the game, I don't want to take your money because that's not my profession.
Yep.
So if I'm going to help, I need you to win.
Right.
Bottom line, because I win.
Well, I know how much you've helped Impact X Performance and me personally, even in the last 6 months since we launched just in May of 24. So whatever you're going to do with that is worth it, my friends. Like if you do it, take a look at whatever he's got going on.
Well, I think a one day where we get a group together and we can go through the value and it's not an enormous investment from their side, and I can put them together with peers so they get more relationship capital, and then from there help them. I think that that's a model that I can give them an ROI that they're going to win on, right? I love it. I need them to feel good about it. Because if you look back, would you do it again? If the answer is no, then I failed. And I don't want to do that.
Before, I know you have something on your success formula. Before we go there, because you mentioned about a success formula, I do want to talk franchising because as a new franchisor, helping franchisees in the Impact X Performance world, if there are a couple lessons that you've learned, some of the mistakes you've made of all these businesses you've had and now with what you're doing with EVERBOWL and WeBuild, what would be a few of the lessons that you've learned in the franchising side of things?
Yeah, quite a few. So most people who franchise are operators first, right? I had my own EVERBOWLs. I had 28 EVERBOWLs before I franchised.
28?
28. Wow. I was never going to franchise because I didn't think about it. I was just going to grow this thing myself, Chipotle and Starbucks style.
Sure.
I see a lot of brands franchise. They don't realize that it's a different business. They think it's the same business because it's theirs. Oh, I franchise EVERBOWL, so it's the same as running an EVERBOWL. I know how to do that. It's not. My customer, when I own and operate EVERBOWLs, is the person who comes in and buys an acai bowl. When I franchise, my customer is the person who bought my business.
That's right.
Their customer is the person who walks in their store. So So I go from an operations company to a support company. My goal now and job now as a franchisor is to support my franchisees with the resources, tools, and knowledge so they can build their business in their community and make money. So I have to help them with all of the other things outside of someone buying a bowl.
Yeah.
I have to help them and teach them how to do that.
Yep.
But they're relying on me for real estate, marketing, training, supply chain, logistics, finance, buying power, relationships with vendors and suppliers, using the brand at a macro and micro level. That's a whole different business.
Yep.
It's not, oh, Jeff, you have a new store open. We need to train a staff. We got to buy food. We got to set up supply chain, and we're good to go. No. It's a whole different business.
Yep.
And so what I didn't realize at the time was how big of a difference it was. And I think that is where a lot of young franchisors get in trouble, is they like me, didn't go in knowing that. And I had a private equity group, Saruya Private Equity, who's part of EVERBOWL, and they're one of the biggest franchisors. You know, they own a ton of brands and franchise, 30,000 franchises in 59 countries across a gazillion brands. So I was able to have that coach, consultant, advisor in my ear to ask these questions. But that was one of the biggest lessons, was how big of a difference it is.
Is that one of the ways you scaled EVERBOWL quickly? Was like a VC type group?
So I self-funded, was going to self-fund them all. I raised a little bit of capital after I opened my fourth location from a local restaurant guy here in San Diego who, because he's forgotten more about restaurants than I'll probably ever learn. So it was a great thing. And then from there, everyone wanted to invest. And finally, this private equity group, Saruya, came to me in 2018. They were looking at one of my competitors, and they were doing their due diligence, and I got to meet them. And Aaron Saruya and me had a great conversation. We were talking. He goes, Jeff, have you ever thought about franchising this business? Because I vertically integrated with WeBuild and Unevolved Products, which we'll get into, and very different than everyone else. And he's like, you really have something different than all the other players in the space. You built a system in their restaurants. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to franchise though. And he's like, why? I'm like, I don't want winners and losers. I don't know anything about it. Like, I got this. Like, this is my path. And he tried to convince me to franchise, and then finally he said, well, I want to invest anyway. And I'm like, well, I'm not really raising money. He's like, I want to invest anyway. And
I want to give you money.
Well, yeah, he wanted to be part of the team. And he's like, because one day you're going to be smart enough to realize you're going to franchise this business, and I already want to be on your cap table, and I want to be a partner. And I was like, okay. So I set what I thought were unreasonable terms that he would say no to, which was no board seat, no say. I'm in complete control. This is the way it's going to be. If I don't ever franchise, you can never make me. And they accept. And here's my valuation, and they accepted. Wow. So they believed in the brand. They believed in the system, which is the most important thing, which we can talk about scale. Scale is all about systems, right? Success is all about a formula. Our formula was predictable, and he saw the future with it. And so he invested. And then fast forward in 2020, after COVID, we franchised. And I went to him and said, you were right.
Wow.
I was not as smart as you.
In the middle of the COVID pandemic.
Well, COVID is why we franchised.
Yeah.
Yeah, that pivot. I hate to say this because COVID had impacts in people in so many ways, from a isolated, forget health, forget impact on human beings. COVID's impact in the industry and what it forced us to do was one of the best decisions the company's ever had. That disaster, that storm, was our Forrest Gump shrimp boat moment, where we were fighting all the other competitors. That opened the seas for us, and then we found a way to go in our own lane.
Did you struggle at all going from the franchisee, really putting your time, energy into your clients, your people who are customers, into the franchisor side, where you say your clients now are the actual franchise business owner? Yep. Was that a struggle at all?
A little bit, yeah. For a few reasons. Because number one, and I've never really been like a real sports coach, but I'm going to use the metaphors, right? Like, I could imagine if Michael Jordan was coaching somebody else playing basketball, right?
Yeah.
It must be frustrating if they're not doing the things the way you would do them.
That's right.
Because you've had a lot of success doing it your way. But there's lots of ways to do the same thing successful, right? It's not a one-size-fits-all. So when you have franchisees, you got to remember, these are entrepreneurs.
That's right.
And they're buying your system, and they want to adopt your system, but they're going to interpret your system through the eyes of themselves and their own life experience.
Right.
So it's like if I give you a recipe and I say, this is what the ingredients are, 3 people are going to make the same thing. It's going to taste different. Because if you like honey, you're going to add a little more honey. If you don't like salt, you're going to use a little less salt. Regardless of what the recipe says, you're going to put a little TD into it.
Yep.
Well, that's how entrepreneurs are. That's how athletes are. That's how parents are. I mean, that's how we all are. And so when these franchisees, these entrepreneurs who buying into my system, take my system and apply it through their own lens and eyes, at first it's they're not listening. They're not doing what I want. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. To, okay, take a minute, analyze what they're doing. Why are they doing it that way? Is it because their way may be better? Is it because they understand their demographic and market in an area that I don't know much about?
Yep.
Is it a different, or are they just screwing the whole damn thing up?
That's right.
Right? And if they are screwing the whole damn thing up, what am I going to do about it? Because what I also learned through franchising is in the absence of clarity, in the absence of a system and a specific way to do something, if there's something ambiguous, if I tell you, take the trash out, but I don't tell you how to take the trash out, you're going to take the trash out how you think to take the trash out.
Yep.
Now, in my little bubble in Southern California, there's a way that Southern California people talk, act, behave. You go to another market in America, they talk, act, behave differently because we're different all over the country, right? We have different backgrounds and ideologies. And, you know, California, Florida, Texas, Iowa, South Carolina, North Carolina, New Jersey, Utah, they're all different ways of life. But, and it's okay. There's no right or wrong, right? And how we talk, right? You have Southern accents, you have Northeastern accents, you have California, you have these different personality traits.
Yeah.
And so now you got to accept that and you got to say, okay, how does my brand, how does EVERBOWL fit in Utah? How does my brand EVERBOWL fit in Florida? How does my brand EVERBOWL fit in Alabama?
That's right.
Right? How does it work now?
So
and so it was a lesson for me to stop, observe, and then analyze, will this work in the market? And I have if you believe you are acting in the best interest of the brand and yourself, then I'm going to have a lot of tolerance to work with you. I'm going to give you a long runway, even if I innately don't like what's going on.
Yep.
As long as I believe you have the interest of the brand first and your self-success second. Because I need the brand to win and I need you to win. Now, if you're doing it for any other reason, we're going to go toe-to-toe.
Yep.
And that was a learning for me.
Good.
And that was an ability for me to say, okay, you don't have all the answers, which I know. And these are entrepreneurs. They bought into your brand and now it's theirs, right? It's no longer mine.
That's right.
You buy into my brand and now it's ours.
That's right.
So you're as much EVERBOWL as I'm as EVERBOWL, or I'm as much impact as you're if I buy into you.
Right.
So, okay, they made the commitment. They bought into what we believe in, and now they're the brand steward in that area. So long as they're doing that with integrity and what they believe is in the best interest of the brand and themselves, and I say it's important for themselves because they have to win.
That's right.
I don't want them to do what is the best interest of the brand and lose because then the brand's gone anyway. So they've got to win too. Then, okay, we're gonna have a longer runway together, and I'm gonna give you a big opportunity to prove why you're doing it the right way, and I'm not going to step on your toes.
I actually like that though. The best, with Impact X Performance, it's almost like growing your team. If someone believes in you, we're now partnering up and teaming up, right? In the franchise world of I'm in your corner, I'm in your foxhole, you're in my foxhole. We're now branded together. We're together on that, and that's what I love. Even with the 7 right now, as we expand the landscape, and I know you've helped us tremendously. Whether it's WeBuild or EVERBOWL, Impact X Performance, or any other franchise, why would someone want to be a franchise business owner? Like, who's that right demographic of someone says, hey, EVERBOWL, I want to do that, or Impact X Performance? Like, what makes a great franchisee?
An entrepreneur. I mean, I'll be honest, if I could have franchised EVERBOWL and knew what I know now, back when I started, I wouldn't have started EVERBOWL. I would have just franchised EVERBOWL. I wanted to own an acai bowl store. So what makes the franchise? Why franchise? The ideal candidate for a franchise is someone who wants to be an entrepreneur or is an entrepreneur. They want to buy into a system and grow it. They're a team player, right?
Yeah.
And they don't have this got to be my way or the highway mentality. If you want to do things your way and you don't want to be told what or how to do something, don't buy a franchise.
Yeah.
But if you want to win and you want to be part of a team and you want to be part of a brand that you love, support, and believe in the mission, franchising is great because it takes such a huge amount of the risk off the table.
That's right.
It puts you in a position to grow exponentially. I mean, you got to remember, 4% of franchises ever get to 100 units in any 4%. 4%. Food, service, health and wellness, doesn't matter. Auto parts, home service goods, doesn't matter. You pick EVERBOWL all the way through. Only 4% ever get to 100 in the world.
Yep.
Now, why? Because it's really hard. And 9 out of 10 businesses fail, right? And the ones that make it past year 1, a huge percentage fail 5 years. So the chances of success are very small for everybody, for all of us in this world. And so if you can take a lot of that risk out and you don't have to pay the dummy tax and you start to realize that how much value and ROI you're going to get on your money and time, which is the two things you put into your franchise or your business.
Yeah.
Unless, like I said, unless you're like, oh my God, I have this vision. It's Jeff's Bowls. It has to be done this way, and I want to see it through. Well, then go do it.
Yeah.
I mean, shit.
That's
go,
right.
Go.
Yeah.
I didn't have that when I started EVERBOWL. There was no acai bowls in San Diego. I was making them at home, and I needed to do something.
That's right.
And I'm like, well, I think this could work.
Yeah.
And so
good.
that was it. Now that I understand franchising, I even look at adding more to my portfolio of franchise. Like, I don't need to start everything. Franchising is great because you can be an entrepreneur. You can bring a new brand to your market the same you would if you started your own.
That's it.
Right? And then if you have ever any vision of selling your product down the road or your business down the road, you can still do all those things. So you're really not limiting yourself outside of if you have this one vision in your brain that cannot be derailed and you can't accept EVERBOWL or one of my competitors, or hey, I want to own a hamburger joint and I have to do this burger as a triangle, and it's going to look like this. And Wendy's square doesn't work, and everyone else's round doesn't work. I'm building triangle burgers. Well, then go do your triangle burger, right?
So true.
So otherwise, you find a product and brand you believe in, and you go, can I grow with this thing? Is there room? Like McDonald's, there's not a lot of room to grow. You're going to make money, but you're not going to grow. An Impact and EVERBOWL, you could be part of the next 1,000-unit chain and build all of the wealth you could imagine and have a camaraderie of other entrepreneurs. Because you know what the worst part of being an entrepreneur is? It's lonely.
That's right.
Being a CEO, founder,
Preach.
I have no peers in my organization.
So true.
I have employees, I have partners, but no peers. Right? It's lonely, and I can talk to you about it, but you don't know my business.
That's right.
We can talk business owner to business owner, best practices, and we can relish in the pitfalls and the enjoyments, but it's lonely. Imagine in a franchise where now I have 100 other franchisees around the country who are business owners of EVERBOWL, running their EVERBOWL, dealing with the same problems and challenges and successes and wins together. And oh my gosh, I had this thing and it was amazing, and they give it to me, and now I deploy it and I make more money. And oh my God, I have peers as an entrepreneur. That is so rewarding. And you don't realize it if you've never been a founder or an entrepreneur or a CEO, how I say lonely. It's not like that word is thrown around a lot. I just mean like in the darkest moments when you're really by yourself and you're isolated and you're dealing with whatever is in front of you.
Yeah.
It's lonely.
Yeah. One of my favorite times of the day or of the week is Mondays at 10:15 in the morning, because that's when all of us Impact X Performance franchise business owners get together on a call. And that's exactly what it is. We have 12 to 14 people on the call at 7 locations, and it is a 90-minute like come together huddle where we're talking shop and we're talking everything from our P&Ls, our spreadsheets, our numbers, to marketing, our wins, our losses, our ahas, everything's going on. And it gives us the opportunity to connect where they get it, you get it, and it's the huddle. I call it the huddle. It's our weekly huddle, Mondays at 10:15, and it's like it's go time. And that's what I love about it, because the one thing I've learned, at least in the fitness world, is there's a lot of passionate people in the fitness world. And I love that. That's what drives me, is the passion and the purpose. The one thing that's missing amongst many entrepreneurs, not just fitness, is, you said earlier on, the systems.
Yep.
And one of the reasons I partnered with Travis Barnes, who is an amazing business partner, he's a systems guy. And I'm like, man, we need a systems guy, and Travis is the systems guy, and that allows scale.
Yep.
Many people who are just passionate, they don't have systems, they get to a certain level, they get to that bottleneck, the ceiling, and they just can't get past it because they don't have the systems where they can scale to 2, 3, 4 locations or more, or grow their business because they keep having turnover problems on that stuff. So that's one of the things I liked about the opportunity with franchising, is the ability to help scale businesses for other business owners and to be in the trenches with them.
So, if I could, because I think you probably have a lot of fitness and sport-minded audience.
That's right.
A metaphor for that: natural talent doesn't need systems, right?
Yep.
So if I'm a 6'5", 10-year-old, right, who had professional basketball parents, at 10 years old, I don't need to practice to beat all my fellow 10-year-olds.
That's right.
I don't need systems. I don't need to train. I show up, I'm going to win, right? So as you think about sports and you think about pre-high school, high school, college, pros, the challenge you get as you scale your brand in the absence of systems and processes, okay, you open one store, you're the pre-high school, right? Then you have a few stores, now you're in high school, right? Because you're competing against other multi-unit concepts that are fighting for the same customer.
That's right.
Right? So, okay, in high school, you might still have all the natural gifts and you still don't need much practice, right? You could just show up and still pretty much dominate because you're competing against a lot of people who just shouldn't never go past this level.
That's it.
Okay. Then you get to college. Now you expand outside your city and you opened your 7th, 8th, 10th. Now you're in multi-cities. Okay. Now you're in college. You're multi-city. You're competing against all the other concepts that have that same natural ability or a system to get them there.
Yep.
So now systems start to matter more because talent won't get you as far. And then if you have the privilege to go beyond college to the pro level, now you're competing on a national level like we are with multi-billion-dollar brands that are so much bigger than me. And I don't have their resources. I don't have their knowledge.
So true.
They have an employee working for them that makes more than probably my whole office. You know what I'm saying? Like they are a different tiered competitor. So if I don't have a system, natural talent isn't getting you to be an all-star at the pro level.
You got it.
There's the world is filled with talented failures. People who have more talent and don't achieve their potential. Systems, a plan, a formula is what you eventually have to involve into your organization. And the earlier you do it, the faster you scale. And when you can mix talent with preparation with the system, then you have like the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, the Drew Breeses,
The Jeff Fensters. There you go.
One day.
Hey, you're
One day.
hearing a wealth of knowledge and wisdom here from Jeff, and all of the years of experience of entrepreneurism and this. He's boiled it down to what I'm calling Jeff Fenster's success formula.
Yes.
And I want to get to it because you're hearing you're probably scratching your head well, how did he do this? And man, he failed here, and then he started a company, he sold the company, he started a company, he sold the company, and then you got EVERBOWL, and we got WeBuild, who's building out all these different franchises and helping people like IXP. Your success formula, what is it?
Yeah, so it's 5 things.
Yep.
I have 5 rules. I live by them. Number 1 is make friends.
Make friends.
And have fun.
Okay.
Right? So make friends because relationship capital is so important in business and life. Who I know, who I can call to help me
so
navigate,
good at that. So
knock
good.
down a door, give me an elevator, compress time, do all the things that opportunity is where people always go, I wish I had more sale. Relationships.
You're great at connecting. You're great
Well, because
at
if you lead with value and you help more people, your life's better. And you have to have fun. Because if you don't enjoy what you're doing, and I don't mean you have to enjoy making an acai bowl by scratch or building something with a hammer or you have to find the fun in what you're doing. Otherwise, you won't put in the effort when it matters the most.
Number 1, make friends
And have fun. Yes.
2,
Take immediate decisive action.
Okay.
Because by doing it now, which you asked me at the rapid fire, by taking some step today and moving the ball forward, you don't have time with self-doubt. You don't have time to, spend, oh my gosh, what if, oh my God, I can't.
Preach.
Do it now and take action because things will happen with that next step. I can't see the path. We'll take 3 steps and all of a sudden you say, oh my God, there's a crevice right there. I can go there. But if you stand here waiting to see the future, you're never going to see it and you're going to get passed by the people who are just doing it and you're going to learn, evolve, and grow.
Take immediate, decisive action.
Yes, right now.
3.
Kaizen. Get 1% better every day. Don't set a goal where it's like, I can do 5 push-ups, but I got to be able to do 100 by Thursday. How about tomorrow you just do 5.5 push-ups? And if you keep doing that, it's a matter of when, not if, you get to the goal that you're achieving, right? And that's where a lot of people stop. They stop because they have big goals. They don't set micro goals between 0 and hero. And they don't see the progress because they're not looking for it.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I can't do a push-up. I need to do 100 by next week. It's Thursday and I can do 2. Well, you don't realize that's 200% better than 0.
Yeah.
And if you had that as your goal, then tomorrow it's 2.5, and the next day it's 3. I'm winning every day.
So true.
So I don't have any negative self-talk of I can't, this sucks, I'm not good enough. I'm winning every single day.
Every day.
And when I win, it's called win stacking. And if you win stack the day and you win stack the week and you win stack the month, you look back and you go, holy smokes, look how far we came.
I've been on that recently about execution.
Yes.
Execution. It's like so great. Like we spend a lot of December 24 here, getting ready for your strategic plans for 2025. And here we are in 2025 as you listen in, you're fired up. Ultimately, you got to take action and you got to execute.
Yes.
And many people can't execute. Got to execute. Focus on getting that stuff done. Kaizen, number 3. Number 4.
Be remarkable. So I think too often people strive for perfection. Perfection is something that you may or may not hit. It's not an important attribute. So I say be remarkable. What does that mean? It means, did I give 100% of my best effort, aptitude, and capability into whatever I'm doing right now? Am I with you right now 100% pouring into you and your audience? Or am I thinking about 3 meetings I have to do later and what I'm going to do tonight with dinner and this fight I had with my wife or girlfriend or husband, whatever, or a thing with my child? Or am I with you right now? And if I'm with you right now, no matter how good or bad this is to your audience, doesn't matter. It's the best I can do. I'm remarkable.
Yep.
And if I keep doing that, I'm going to get better.
Yep.
So I'm going to go from suck to beginner to novice to amateur to advanced to pro to eventually perfect.
How do you know if you're being remarkable?
Because I'm just putting all I have in here.
Okay.
And when I look back, could I have given any more to this conversation and focus, or was I thinking elsewhere?
I always say about like do the mirror test. Do the mirror test because only you know if you're being remarkable. Because you can fake being remarkable and be like, oh man, that was great. But your mind was somewhere else, right?
Sure, I can go strike out 4 times in a baseball game.
That's it.
But that doesn't mean I wasn't remarkable because if I did the things that I've been working on and it didn't work out, results don't matter.
Yep.
People focus on results. I never have. The result doesn't matter. I told you, the win doesn't matter to me. The process does.
Yep.
I care about repeatable things because that's predictable. So if I do this swing or I do this form or I do this behavior, over the long run, I'm going to win more than I lose. Roger Federer said this in a great speech, and he's one of the greatest tennis players of all time. And he's 1,800 matches in his career, and he won like 85% of them. But if you look at his points won versus his opponents over the course of his career, and this is true, go look at this. He only won like 55% of the individual points.
Interesting.
In his entire career.
Interesting.
But he won 85% of his matches and one of the greatest players of all time with all of his major wins.
Interesting.
Because we are focused on the wrong things. If you focus on having to win every point, the result, he's not that great. 55%? That's not very good.
Number 4, be remarkable.
Yes.
And 5th and final?
Change ready. So we get very stuck in how we do things. Oh, this is the way I do it. We stop learning. We stop re-examining what we're doing and why based on new technology, new information. So be remarkable. Be change ready. Be willing to pivot. When the world says, I was never franchising EVERBOWL. You asked me up until March 17th, 2020, I will never franchise EVERBOWL. March 18th, COVID happened. We had to pivot. The world gave me new sets of information. So I said, okay, it's time to be change ready. We're going to pivot to franchise. And you say, well, I don't know how to do that. Guess what those first 4 do for you? Who do I know who can help me to compress time? Great. That was make friends and have fun. Number 2, take immediate decisive action. Call them now and take a step towards franchising. Great. Number 3, Kaizen. What can be one thing I can do today to get a little bit better at this new pivot and change? And number 4, put 100% of myself into it. Now it's a matter of when, not if, I become great at whatever the hell this pivot change is. And that's why it's not scary. So I can go from 0 to building something because I apply this success formula. Doesn't matter what it is. My health, my relationships, my business, my spiritual well-being, you name it. If I apply it, it's a predictable formula of success. And so I don't have to be great. I just have to follow it.
Man, oh man. You're listening to Jeff Fenster. Guys, if this is serving great value to you today, can you do us a favor? Take a picture right now, boop, snap, tag it on your Instagram, put at Jeff Fenster, at Todd Durkin, get it out in the world. Let people listen to the man speaking about all different wisdom in business and franchising, in the success formula of what it takes regardless of what you do for a living. Jeff Fenster is dropping the dimes today. I'm going to wrap it up with a couple more rapid fire questions here. And guys, make sure you follow Jeff at Jeff Fenster.
Jeff.
At Fenster Jeff. Fenster Jeff, that's right. And on his website, jefffenster.com, you got to make sure you follow him at Fenster Jeff on the IG, at Jeff Fenster with the website. But rapid fire as best you can. Speaking.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot of speaking.
Yep.
What's your go-to topic when you are speaking, 50 times a year, it seems like?
Yeah, a lot these days. I'm not a speaker. I'm an entrepreneur who speaks. It's a big difference.
Amen.
So I'm not here to tell you guys how to do things that I haven't done. I'm just sharing what has worked for me. So I enjoy that. So I basically have 3 main concepts.
Okay.
1, vertical integration. It's a tool I've used, why we build on Evolve products, how I vertically integrate my businesses for scale and exits. 2, relationship capital, how to actually build and develop it. I wrote a book on it. I was hired by LinkedIn. I have a few courses with them. This is my gift. It's like if you don't realize that 85 to 90% of my success and wealth comes from who I know, not what I know. So this is something you all need to be doing. And then number 3 is that success formula to really empower you. A lot of times we go to these talks and we listen to people who are there to inspire and motivate. I don't care about motivation. I think it's too much emphasis on it. The actual winners, the difference between those who are absolutely winning and the rest is everyone else needs motivation to do what they do. When you can do it regardless if you feel like it, now you're on a path to win. Because you never always feel like it. Do you work out even when you really don't want to? I work out every single day. Minus the one day I had surgery this year. I've worked out over 500 days in a row minus 1. And it was because my surgeon wouldn't have let me. I didn't want to do a lot of that. I flew to Japan. With the time change, I had to work out twice in the same day after a 17-hour flight. My wife thought I was nuts. But I will not work out. Not because I have some crazy goal, because I'm not going to let myself quit on me just because I don't feel like it. Feel like it is a waste. So
Preach.
My success formula takes emotion and feeling out. Follow the formula, you win.
And that's motivational. Like you just
Sure.
said, like I'm like, that's motivational.
Yeah.
Like, right? That's awesome. Also, besides speaking, because you do a lot of speaking, you are doing a great job podcasting. The
Yes,
Jeff Fenster
which you've
Show.
been a guest on.
I've been a guest on. We'll put it in the show notes. Go
Yeah.
back and listen. But Jeff has had some amazing guests on. What do you most enjoy about podcasting?
Yeah, I mean, so for my show, we reverse engineer success. As you can tell, I'm a success formula student. That's what
right.
I focus on.
Yep.
So whether I have you on, Drew Brees, Tim Grover, Dan Fleischman's, entrepreneurs,
Goes on,
athletes, celebrities, Tariq Al Musa, it doesn't matter. Normal, everyday people who have accomplished amazing things. I get to learn what their formula of success is.
Yep.
And why that's important is because someone out there might be listening and go, Jeff, I agree with your formula, but it doesn't apply to me. So by hearing what TD's formula of success is and how you've built a career and been successful in many different things, because success to me isn't one thing. If all you are is successful in business, I don't think you're successful. I want 360 degrees of success. I want to be successful in my health, my wealth, my relationships, my profession, and spiritual and emotional well-being, call it that, your pillars. So I see a lot of people who are wealthy with money and don't have good relationships and are overweight and sick.
That's right.
Then there's people who are really in good shape and don't have money and don't have good relationships. And then there's great marriages, but they're broke and they're sick. So how do you make success everywhere? And by learning other people who have been successful's formula through their story, we as an audience at the Jeff Fenster Show and myself being the host getting to hear it firsthand, I get to learn. I get to grow. I get to Kaizen my life and learn something from TD, right? Because your energy and success that you have proven across your career and life and the things you've overcome, I'm going to learn from it. And so getting to do that, and then number two, having my own show and having them come to my studio, I get to build my rule number one, relationship capital. I get to deepen that, right? We get to spend time together.
Yeah.
And those are two reasons I love podcasting.
And we are sitting here in studio right now. If you're watching on YouTube, take a look around at this beautiful studio that you built with Andrew. By the way, Andrew is an amazing dude.
Yeah,
like
he's all right.
He's
great.
I got to brag about him for a second so y'all know. This guy, for all you young cats out there tuning in, this guy used to drive 3 hours
Both ways.
one way,
Yeah, each
work,
way.
3 hours go home for like over 6 months. And Jeff didn't even know this was going on because this guy wanted to work so bad and get a job. And when you found that out, you took care of him.
Well, I told him he has to move closer. Or I couldn't let him keep doing that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you,
You're humble.
I was looking for
You're
somebody.
humble.
I was looking for somebody to do that role, to help me with my personal brand, to do be the producer of the show and help grow this thing. And I put some feelers out and I posted something on my social media, and Andrew reached out to me, and we had met through a mutual friend, and he had worked for someone I love, care a lot about. And he came to me with a plan and a vision, and he had that hunger, and then he actually drove 3 hours for the opportunity each way,
Yeah.
which
Not for an interview.
he got hired and
every
was doing
day.
that every single day. And finally, it was like, Andrew, you can't keep doing this. Like,
Correct.
we have to solve this problem right now because I love it, but it's not sustainable and it's a waste of your life. And I don't want that for him, right?
I love that you did that.
Well,
I was telling Brady, my son, and Chase, who's with me on the team today, about that. To me, out of all that you shared, to me, like, that's the essence of your soul. And Andrew, who cares so much about the studio, you look around how beautiful it is and everything else. Like it's clear when you come in what it means to you. So thank you.
Well, because what I do with and what I look for people I work with, I need Andrew to be world class at what he's doing.
Amen.
And I want to give him the tools and resources to let him shine. And he's the expert, not me. So the show, the producer, like that's all him. My personal brand, that's all him. Like how we do this stuff, it's him taking what I have and his vision and putting it together, right? We're a team. And so I'm here to solve the problems for him and get rid of distractions and empower and enable him. And I don't want to micromanage, and I don't need to tell him how to be great. I need to give him the opportunity to shine. And that to me was a thing that would eventually create an issue and conflict.
Love it. I am so fired up, my friends, for the brand new addition to the Impact Nutrition supplement line. Yeah, we've already had protein, but guess what? We now have the world's best flavored protein you will ever try in your life. It's called Cinnamon Bun, not Cinnabon, not the thing you find in the mall, the Cinnamon Bun protein. I'm telling you right now, when you try the Impact Nutrition Whey Premium Protein Cinnamon Bun flavor, you're going to call me 5 times and say, TD,
thank you for the recommendation. This is the best protein I've ever had, because I feel the same exact way, and I've had a lot of protein in my life. Trust me on that one, more than most. So give it a shot. Guaranteed to absolutely rock your world. And it's not just available over the holidays. It's available whenever you want. That's right. It's called Cinnamon Bun Protein by your Impact Nutrition line. Give it a shot today.
You talked about your workout routine because you do it every day, minus the one. We don't need to spend much time on that other than make sure you follow Jeff at Fenster Jeff. See some of that crazy stuff on his stories and all. I do just want to touch on one thing because it also impressed me. Jeff Fenster, the family man, because you mentioned it earlier, but with a wife who believes in you so much to say whatever you think, I'm behind, and then two unbelievable daughters. How do you balance all of these entrepreneurial pursuits out? That's probably the number one question you get. I get it all the time. Like, hey, how do you be a great dad and you know, serve your wife and then do all this other stuff? How do you, Jeff Fenster, I hate the word balance, but balance it all out?
Yeah, I don't. There's no balance. Yeah. I wish there was. Yep. I fought with this. I mean, I had on my show, we had a great conversation, me and Tim Grover, about this very topic, and he lit up my perceived thinking about it at the time. But the truth is, I look at it this way. I have two daughters. Their priorities 1 and 2. And my wife, right? Those are my... Well,
I get it.
But as a dad, right? Yes. You said dad. My wife. So those 3 are priorities 1, 2, and 3. If they ever need me, I'm there. I'll leave right now. I don't care about business. I don't care about my show. They're priority over everything.
Yep.
After that, all my businesses are other kids or a pet, if you think about it that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I love my dogs. I love my animals. They're not my children, right? There is a difference.
Yep.
Business is that next level. So in the season of life where my business needs me because it needs me and my kids are running fine, then I'm going to be on my business. I'm going to give 100%. If my daughter says, Dad, I need you, business is to the side. Yep. So it's not balance, it's yo-yo, right? It's moving to what area needs me the most and realizing that I'm going to sink myself into it. And here's the part that I get asked a lot, which is, well, you miss a lot because you travel a ton. I'm gone 100 plus nights a year, business, speaking, and your kids don't get to see it. You're right. But I'll go back to what I said to my dad. Quantity versus quality and purpose versus experience. Do I want to watch my daughter ride her horses every time? Do I want to watch every soccer game? Of course I do. Of course I do. But I'm not trying to have an 18-year relationship with my children and then we're all mediocre adults. I want to empower my children to be absolute superstars and win at everything. So what they need to see is Dad goes and does what he has to do to win in everything he does.
Yep.
We have to go and do everything and win at everything we do.
Yep.
That is what we do. When we do something, we go and win. We go and commit 100% and be the best version of ourselves and win the damn thing. Yeah. Whatever that is, right? Doesn't always mean win the game, but win the goal of today, the Kaizen. So if I have to go and travel to do this and be here and do that, they need to watch me do that, but know that when they have their big moments, when they have those things, or they say, Dad, I need you or want you at this, I'm there. Then I don't have to be at every soccer practice and game. Right. I don't have to always attend. And it's never been easier with YouTube videos and FaceTime and all that.
100%.
And it's more for me. And do I want it? Of course I do. But going back to 360 degrees of success, it's a trade and I want it all, which means you have to sacrifice for everything. There is always a trade-off. So I will be there for all their biggest moments in life. I will be there whenever they need me and I will be there when I can, when I'm home. Yeah. When I'm not, I'm not. And do they wish I was there more? Of course. Do I wish I was there more? Of course. But I also wish I had more money. I wish all my businesses were more successful. I mean, in area of life, I want to improve.
Yeah.
And so I'm not the greatest dad. I'm not saying this works for everybody. And some parents go, my children are my everything, and I don't care about then that's your success formula.
That's right.
Mine is different because I am passionate about entrepreneurship and building businesses. I am passionate about my health and wellness. I am passionate about my family. And I want them all to be Hall of Fame.
Amen. I love
and so
that.
in order to do that, I got to do it. And so it is a tough balance. But I do the best I can, and I promise them that I'm going to Kaizen myself. And if they tell me to improve, I improve.
Jeff Fenster, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for everything that you do, who you are as a friend, as a man, as a father, a husband. Guys, you see Jeff doing so many amazing things, and just to spend the time today, I could go on and on. I'm not going to do that. Just follow Jeff. He's got amazing podcasts. Go back and listen to the Jeff Fenster Show. It's going to look somewhat familiar here, even though you won't see that in the background. But Jeff, thank you. Is there any question that I did not ask you that you wish I did?
Not a question. I think I would like to end with one comment for your audience, because I was guilty of this when I was younger, and I would see people who were further ahead on their journey than I was, and I would think I can't because I don't have what they have. And so I want to tell everybody I'm an ordinary guy. I didn't get great SAT scores. I'm not brilliant. I didn't make it to the pros. You know, I'm not the 1% of these categories, right? I'm not Shaquille O'Neal, so it's like you were going to go be an NBA guy. I'm an ordinary guy. So what I spent a lot of time doing is focusing on what extra stuff I had to do to get extraordinary results and compete with them, which means everything I've accomplished can be accomplished by everyone listening. And truthfully, most people are probably more gifted than me in a lot of these areas, which means if you do what I did, I'm going to be second to you. And so I don't want, because I'm further along on my journey and I'm here giving you my highlight reels on a show, you go, yeah, that's great, Jeff. I can't do what he did. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Do I have innate extra ability or a preconceived strength in an area that you might not? Yes, but you have them that I don't. The key isn't that. The key is figure out a formula that allows you and what extra stuff you need to do and make extraordinary results. And the talent of others doesn't matter because talent doesn't beat effort, right? I beat so many people who are more talented than me because they won't put in what I'll put in and they don't have the formula that I have. And so I just wanted to make sure that you don't leave this show with any of the guests that you ever hear on these podcasts or whatever you see them and assume that you can't accomplish it. Yes, I can't do what Shaquille O'Neal does. That's outside of me. I can't be Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates or Elon Musk. I don't have those brains.
Yeah.
That's extraordinary people. But for 99.9% of us that feel ordinary and feel that we can't because we're not naturally a genius like this person or, you know, athletically, you're looking at it wrong. Extraordinary results can be had by us all. Figure out the extra that you have to do and then find what you love, put it in, and then you get extraordinary results. And that's what it takes. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone hears that. I'm ordinary. Like I said, I don't have those special gifts. So I'm not talking down to anybody. I am and was where a lot of people are who might be listening to this. And I want to inspire and empower them to remove that doubt, blow through that glass ceiling of saying, I can't because I don't have. No, you just need to figure out the formula and go do it.
Hard work beats talent when talent don't work. And if you have hard work and talent, you got guys like Jeff Fenster.
Well.
Oh, man. Jeff, thank you. Legacy, this is called the Impact Show. Impact is all about legacy. What does that word mean to you? Impact and legacy.
Well, impact is what I give to the world. And I'm a steward of the information that I learned from others. And so I try to pass it off. That's why I love speaking. That's why I love doing these shows, because I have taken what others have taught me. I've used it, and now I want to help others do the same thing. And then legacy is how I'm going to be remembered. And I don't really care about, no offense to anyone outside my family, how I'm remembered. So I want them to remember their dad as someone who gave 100% in everything he did and cared immensely. And when given the choice, always took the high road and did the right thing.
Guys, I hope today served you in so many ways. I thank Jeff here, who spent the last, I don't even know how long we've gone, because it seems like 5 minutes is probably an hour and a half, but whatever it is, Jeff, thank you so much. If this was of value to you, can you please forward this on to your friends, family, guests, your networking community, and make sure you tag Jeff. Again, on Instagram, it's at Fenster Jeff. I'll put it in the show notes as well. Take a look at his website, Jeff Fenster. He is an amazing speaker. I've heard him speak on the platform. He's got a great podcast. You want to make sure you follow him and everything he's doing. And not just in the business world, but you talk about a humanitarian and a philanthropist, someone who gives back. I hate to say way more than he receives, but Jeff Fenster is giving a lot back to a lot of people, including myself, and not just at Impact X Performance and everything, but me personally and pouring into me. And Jeff's one of my guys, and I'm forever grateful for him. So thank you for joining us today. Until next time, remember, train hard, eat right, live inspired, and go create impact.